And that's Ochame Kwame with Sika. If you're just tuning in, this is Joy 99.7 FM, and this is the Super Morning Show. And I have Kobe from Tema calling. Good morning, Kobe. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, Kobe. How are you?
Not bad. And you?
I'm very good, thank you. So what's on your mind?
Well, with regards to comments made by number one, I'm wondering if he's calling for government to assist in the payment of the customers. I'm wondering why some people would think that call is misplaced. Because, look, in the first place, if government issued an arrest warrant, to what end was it? If government said he was engaged in a criminal activity, what interest was government acting? If government has frozen the guy's account, I mean, what was the motive? I mean, to what end was government trying to do all this? Obviously, they were acting in the interest of the customers. Now, this is a man that the state, look, there's a circus that's going on that I still don't get it. The most wanted man in Ghana, he got detained in Dubai. He won his case. He comes back as the most wanted man. He's granted bail. He goes organizes press conferences. He's walking around. What kind of circus is that? This will not happen in any serious country. If this guy is indeed a criminal, and is indeed, look, what kind of intelligence even went into what kind of intelligence even went into what do you call it? The conclusion that he's most wanted. What did he do? I mean, what came out of that intelligence for government to even issue an arrest warrant that is the most wanted person?
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I have Sam from Tema. And when you called in, the question I'm actually really asking is, having heard number one, are you convinced that you're going to get your money back? Sam, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, are you convinced?
Convinced?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, something should happen. Something should happen.
But are you convinced you're going to get your money back?
I haven't saved with...
well, are you convinced that those who saved with number one are going to get their money?
Yes, because the things he has outlined so far, if government assists, it's in the public interest already, and government must follow that, because we already heard that, yes, he won the case at Dubai. So I just heard Amanda Clinton say that he needs to provide all that and provide. We have already heard, everybody in Ghana have heard that the guy has won the case. So the public is fully aware, and it is the interest of the Attorney General, the Bank of Ghana, to follow up for that money for the citizens. But my main concern is for the guy his score for him to be regulated well, for him to come back to business is the greatest whatever so far. Because if he come back to business, I'll definitely stay with him. Because you put your money, where do you think you can invest in Ghana economy now, and you get high returns on your money? We put money in these banks, and you don't get it. I mean you don't get anything. They just use your money, borrow to people, and they don't pay you anything. So if there is a company, Ghanaian-owned company, that is helping people to develop their businesses, it should be helped to stand. So government must assist him. They should regulate him very well, and then let him come back to business. Because Bank of Ghana, they are doing nothing, absolutely.
Right. Sam, well, thank you very much for that. And I have Justice calling from Isegon. Justice, are you convinced that you're going to get your money back?
I'm not convinced, because of how government himself have handled issues relating to all the financial sectors, including number one. trust me, even those with the microfinance and all the people you talked to yesterday are never going to get their money back. The fact is that if you create any panic situation with any financial institution, including the universal one, and if customers troop to the bank, they are not going to get it because financial institutions don't keep monies. Those who deals with money invest them. And once it is invested, it is locked somewhere. And so if you create a panic situation, nobody is going to get their money. One of those who I know saved with the microfinance was called out of 45,000. She was given only 500 Ghana cedis. For what? And so trust me, those people are not getting their money, even including those that Bank of Ghana has taken charge of. Talk to them, and they are not getting it.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And I have my last caller, Jonas. Jonas is calling from Tudu. Good morning, Jonas.
Good morning, my sister.
So do you think you're going to get your money back?
I don't think there's any money. Listen to the press conference yesterday. I don't think there will be money. So all those customers who have their money there, there's no hope for them. Yeah, I can tell you there's no hope. And then they should leave government out of this. They should leave government out of this. I quite remember on the same station, Joy FM. That's why my radio is always at Joy FM. You came out with some news that all those who are saving there from Bank of Ghana say we shouldn't make any deposit. And the customers were trying to fight your journalists. If you have the tape, if you can play it, I'll be very happy this morning. There's no money. If now one thing he has won a case in Dubai, you should bring the money. Government should go and do what? They should leave government out of this. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. And my last caller, Jonas, saying, well, leave government out of this because, to be fair, they did warn people not to invest. But anyway, we'll keep our eyes on that story. And if there's anything new for you to know, you can definitely find out from Joy 99.7 FM. And if you're just tuning in, this is Joy 99.7 FM in the Super Morning Show. We're going straight into our citizens' conversation. Are there solutions beyond that? And I am joined in the studio by three absolutely amazing people. I have Mutaru Mumuni, Mukhtar. Mutaru, is that how to pronounce your name?
Yes, this is the best I've seen.
It's the best so far. Yay! Go me. He's the Executive Director, West African Center for Counter Extremism. I also have Effie Nkrumah, Interdisciplinary Artist and Deputy Artistic Director, Roverman Productions. And Kwesi Oting, who's a singer, composer, music producer, and pastor. So you can imagine that it's going to be a very, very, very diverse conversation this morning.
What a combo.
I know, right? Well, good morning and welcome.
Yes,
it's very
morning,
nice to have you here.
Yes, definitely. Me too.
Morning. Awesome. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Like we do on the Citizens Convo, we ask our friends who join us in the studio what their pet peeves are. So really what's bugging them about Ghana and really practical ways that we can fix that. So as convention demands, ladies first, I'm going to start with I want to start with Effie. So Effie, pet peeve number one.
Pet peeve number one, rubbish burning.
Oh.
Why?
My Lord,
Why?
my Lord.
You're driving down a main road and suddenly your car, and I don't like AC that much. So if I have my windows down, I'm like, oh, here we go. Hold your breath, roll up your windows and get through this smoke. Everybody who knows me well has heard this story thousands of times. I have neighbors who like to burn refuse and tires at midnight. And I just wonder why people don't think about the health of children and people, because when you are sleeping, you are in your deepest state of breathing.
Yes.
And people are putting these horrible things into the air and people are breathing that in. And because of this weird sort of, I cannot tell somebody that they're doing something wrong, nobody says anything.
Right. And you know, this morning in the news review, we discovered that where our drought situation is increasing by 30.9%, and it's because of climate change. And these are the kinds of things that are affecting the climate: the burning of tires, the releasing of fumes, which are just so.
I mean, climate change is important, and it's a huge discussion that I think will take forever. But I really come at it from the health of especially young children,
yes.
Who one day may, God forbid, have all kinds of respiratory complications that their parents can't explain. And it is expensive. I grew up as an asthmatic,
yes,
and it is horrifying for a parent to watch a child who is unable to breathe. And for some reason, we think it's okay to put this in the air. And it comes down to something simple as you don't want to pay for refuse collection.
I was just going to ask you if you had maybe refuse collection problems in your area.
And that's what I find most frustrating about my situation. As early as 5 a.m., you can hear multiple that Chinese music. And it's not one truck. It is multiple trucks from 5 a.m. who park and wait and have the music blaring like an alarm clock. This is not an area with issues. And it's really bad.
And then there's also those who come early with a megaphone shouting bola 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 bola.
Yeah.
I noticed that some of them actually have it recorded.
Yes.
So they're actually playing.
And it's on loop. It's on a loop like a DJ.
I mean,
I think the seriousness of the matter cry is, like people actually burn toilet papers,
Oh.
So you can actually be smoking.
Right.
Some serious.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
And you are taking that into your system.
Like, people do that.
Have you had any experience with it?
Yes, right next to my office, we got that. And it's a difficult thing to do, in terms of how to get it, to stop that. It's a culture that has been allowed for a long period of time. So it takes a lot of nuances involved in terms of how to do it.
I think people who are not registered or are not paying their refuse dues subject to that, like the burnings, and they do it in the night and they just go to sleep.
Because Effie, you mentioned that this burning is actually a midnight situation.
Yes, that's what I find most shocking about my area. It is not, they don't do it during the day. They choose to wait till midnight, sometimes 1 a.m. And what I find most disturbing is, that there will be smoke, and that you don't like the smell of the smoke. So you will choose somebody's wall to burn. And that Accra is a very breezy area. We've been blessed with good, fresh air. And that the wind will blow. So how do you justify? If you were okay with it, you would have burnt it by your own window, right? But they always find somewhere around that they think, oh yeah, this won't bother me, but it will bother somebody.
Have you ever considered?
Confronted?
Yes.
Yeah. So as everybody can hear, my accent is not local. I grew up in Australia, and that's probably what terrified me most about the flames. We suffer huge bushfires that can take out a whole neighborhood within hours. So there is nothing like open flames. You can strike a match and you will burn your home and thousands of others. Wow. So I didn't grow up seeing open fire. And if I see it, if anybody sees open flames, you are calling immediately for help to put that fire out. So I find it difficult because in my area, I'm told I don't speak the local language, and it's not by choice. I didn't grow up with that language, so I'm still trying to learn it. But they would always give me the same feedback. Don't go and confront them. You're educated and you have an accent. So they will either fight you or find a way of intimidating you. And I find that in itself is like, well, then obviously there's a problem.
Yeah.
So there was one night, very recently, mind you, I got sick with this. 5 days, I had a severe respiratory infection. Hundreds of CDs of medication, 5 days off work. And I lost so much weight that people didn't recognize me after 5 days.
Wow.
So there was one night recently, it started again, and I called some of my neighbors who had heard me complain about it. And before they left the compound, they saw the thick black smoke from the tires, and they were screaming in shock. So they went with me, stood in the area, called and called and called. Everybody said, "Oh, it's not us. We don't know. It's a lady who comes to do it. We don't see her." So I was actually in tears by that point, because you can imagine sleeping. Whatever your work schedule is like, when you're home, you need to rest. You have to be up in a few hours, and then thick smoke enters your room. It was terrible.
It sounds terrible.
It's terrible.
It sounds really, really
I think
terrible.
it's
And who do you call? That's my question, because I walked out that day at 12:30 a.m. in anger, and I was ready to just face whoever it was and ask why.
Right.
And we couldn't find the person.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind, could you put your area out there? Because we always have the MCs and the DCEs and the members of parliament listening. And so maybe, we could follow it up with some sort of action, try and get them involved so that, there's some implementation of laws or something at least that will make this stop. So if you don't mind telling us where you live.
Okay, well, this is the Labone Apapa area.
Okay.
So everyone around there knows heavy refuse collection. It's
okay.
They are there. They're ready to pick up every day, multiple times. So
okay.
Labone Apapa.
So Labone Apapa, MC for that area. If you're listening, we would like it if you could get in touch with us, and then we could show you.
It is a serious situation.
Yes, no, it's a very. I mean, I've known Effie for a while, and so this is something I've heard her complain about for a very long time, and I'm asthmatic as well, so these triggers are just not fair at all when you try your best to control your environment, and then some people are just being very mindless and very thoughtless. So if you're not in that area and this is something that you do and you are listening to us, we have 2 words for you: stop it. It is not nice. Jesus doesn't like that. This is a Christian nation. When you are going to set that tire on fire, ask yourself, what would Jesus do? Right. So have the Joy Business Minute coming up in about 4 minutes. But before we go and do that, Kwesi, let me just come to you real quick with your pet peeve number 1.
My pet peeve number 1 is I want little girls and young girls to have the right to cut their hair. All right. And so when they grow and they feel the need to have a style, then they cut their hair. From childhood, I've seen like some parents just cut the daughter's hair, just having it low cut. And then I've seen also Africa's dependence on wigs, and I realized that apparently we like long hair.
So then why are we cutting out?
So why are we cutting children's hair? I think that the next generation of young girls growing deserve the right to make that decision by themselves, and not school. I don't know the policy that allows certain schools to always get their girls to always have young hair, but I also believe that within our culture is also a certain skill that we have to treating hairs, because I've known girls to be plaiting their hair in styles and all that, growing it beautifully. And so I think that there should be something should happen to re-educate the system and change the order, because it is obvious that we like long hair, and it's not like we don't have it within our African DNA. We do have it, but there's a culture that likes cutting things. We cut down trees, we cut down young girls' hair.
Potential.
It's like
cut down potential.
We cut down people.
We cut down people.
Yeah.
But Kwesi, the thing with cutting hair is we generally have this SHS policy. So regardless of what your hair is like during primary and JSS, and I'm talking even about the private schools, once you get to SHS, entering any of the government schools, you have to cut your hair.
Good.
The only people who don't have to cut their hair are the foreigners.
Yes,
who come
and international schools, like lately, international schools and things. It is also obvious that the hair has no impact on the intelligence of the children.
Well, the argument was go ahead.
I think it's it's many things. There's colonial mentality in there, there's beauty politics, but then there's also the socio-economic reality. And it's about the reality of peer pressure. You go into the international schools, these are children and parents who can afford to keep up appearances. And if there are any out there who would say differently, fine. But from what we know of the international school communities, we have the money. We can let our children go and braid their hair in the latest style because we're coming from societies and jobs where that is what we do. But for the average child who, I mean, look at it, when we were young, there was this style that was in fashion, even for those of us out of Ghana, Auntie Lizzie hair. It was this one that you braided a little. We call it secrets. You braid a little, and the rest is curly and red or yellow or blonde. It was expensive, and our parents couldn't afford that. And it was not every child who can afford the latest braid or style. So, not that I'm an advocate for the hair cutting. I can see the cons. But there are pros in terms of uniformity. In Nigeria, you cornrow. We are doing 4 rows this week. Next week, it's 6. If you did 5, go home.
Right.
Okay, but last night I was reading about it, and actually, there's an argument that it's cheaper to treat your hair by braiding than to cut. All right, because that argument is that. But let's get back to the story of plaiting hairs. The black thing that the thread that they used to do, it's not $1 million, it's not 100 Ghana.
No, it's pretty cheap.
It's 2 yes, and shea butter is not 100 Ghana. Okay.
Unless, of course, it's scented and refined.
However, and we didn't even know that, like olive oil, it's also a powerful hair treating material. All these are not like 100 Ghana cedis. They are cheap, but like the culture is, and when I started Googling, because last night I've been trying to Google any support for keeping African young hairs, and you don't even find any. And I can suspect that it is a marketing strategy of certain powers outside our land, all right, to promote a certain idea that cutting hair is swag, or cutting young girls' hair is whatever. So that the market is always there. Right now there's $1 billion market here in Africa alone, on dependent on wigs, and it's amazing.
It is. Well, hold that thought for me, Kwesi, and we're going to take the Joy Business Minutes, and when we come back, we will continue with that conversation.
Hello and welcome to the Joy Business Minute.
Karen and Darrell with the latest news.
The Bank of Ghana has given all microfinance companies and rural and community banks up till February 2020 to meet their respective minimum capital requirements.
A statement issued by the Central Bank this morning said rural banks should have by next year complied with the 1 million cedi capital requirement, while microfinance companies should have all met the 2 million capital requirement.
The receiver, Eric Nananipa, appointed to manage the 23 collapsed financial institutions, is appealing to depositors to be calm as he works to have their funds paid them. Worried customers stormed their branches yesterday to begin the validation process for receipt of their deposits.
Faced with the prospect of a weakening Naira, the Central Bank of Nigeria is digging out its 2015 playbook to stem the currency's decline. After losing out then, traders are betting on history to repeat itself.
We'll keep monitoring.
Join us again at 3:06.
In a world where everything is changing around you, sometimes you need to turn to someone you can trust. You want to move with a change in safe hands, and we are here to help. At Societe Generale Ghana, we understand change because we have transformed and evolved. No matter how our name may change, 43 years of retail and corporate banking expertise never changes, ensuring stability and trust. Digital innovation as the world moves forward to help you adapt, upgrade, and keep up. Bank with Societe Generale Ghana and enjoy doing your banking your way, whenever you choose. In our digital zones with cutting-edge digital banking products and quality services, you deserve a better bank and great rewards. We agree, the world only moves because you make it move. SG Ghana, the future is you.
Okay, our last caller for Chirewajin on Radio Ghana by 56.7 FM is on the line. Hello, you have 30 seconds. Chirewajin.
Hi, Mr. Presenter, yes. I don't understand how I take out my own money to buy credit. My own money, oh. Then when I buy it, the people say I have to use it by a certain time, otherwise they will take it away. I mean, how? If I buy it, then I should be able to keep it as long as I want. Abrabona, you trying to say at the end, it's only expiry. It's not all of us who can call.
All right, thank you. Expiry is a very serious issue. Now, let's take a message from our sponsors.
Tired of expiry on your calls? Switch to Airtel Tigo. Get Fuse, the only call and data bundle with no expiry. So time no be problem. Call all networks and browse with Airtel Tigo Fuse. Dial *567# to bundle.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Health is life, oh. If you play around with yours or your child's, it will cost you papa. Everybody's going to tell you what to try, which could be far from the cure. But listen, whenever you or your child experience symptoms like feverishness, headache, and sweating, first, you need to test for malaria at the nearest pharmacy or health facility. And if confirmed positive for malaria, then the ACT, which is proven to fight malaria effectively, will be prescribed. One must do well to complete the full 3-day course of dosage. If test proves negative, further investigation should be done. Let's be serious with fighting malaria. Do the right thing.
Let's come together and drive malaria away for good life. This advert is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service.
No one likes the siren of the ambulance, but once in a while, there is a moment in our lives where we need help and pray silently for an angel. That is why the Call Angels came into being to provide 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, round-the-clock ambulance cover for medical emergencies, domestic accidents, road traffic accidents, non-emergency transfers, and any medical condition where professional hand is needed to get a patient to the hospital. Download the Call Angels app for free from Google or Apple Store. You can also register for our value-added services by calling 18026 or *3330 or 0302-909746. For as little as 100 Ghana cedi, you can guarantee you and your family for up to 5 persons priority response in addition to a 30% discount on fares for your transport request. Sign up and get that peace of mind for you and your family. Call the Angels in that critical moment and we will be there. Kindly note that this service is currently available in the Greater Accra region only.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
From importers to exporters, direct to indirect workers, you and I, the MPS Terminal 3 is great news to us all.
As a trader, doing business at the port has become easy. The machines are very modern and clearing goods has become very fast.
As a port worker, it is a great joy to be part of over 1,000 Ghanaians working here. This new facility means a lot to us.
As a cocoa farmer, I have more markets to export my products. The entire world can now taste my cocoa, bringing me and my family more income.
The MPS Terminal 3 is a game changer. MPS has invested in world-class equipment and technology to optimize the efficiency of doing business at Tema Port. This means more jobs, development, and opportunities for our present and our future in Ghana. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Strength.
From the planes that fly, the cars that drive, the money I have. God, you bless me.
And that's Kwesi Oting with God They Bless Me. And yes, he's in the studio as well. Pretty exciting stuff, huh? Here on the Super Morning Show, we're having our citizens conversation. Today's agenda is brought to you by Societe Generale SG Ghana. The future is you. And the Ghana Revenue Authority wishes to inform the general public that is carrying out a mass taxpayer identification number registration exercise at the following malls. So the mass tin registration exercise, which started on Tuesday, the 13th of August, will end this Saturday, the 24th of August. So at the Accra Mall, they'll be by the staircase to the cinema, and that's from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At the Achimota Mall, they have two stands, the main entrance and the Sweet Roses restaurant, also 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Oxford Street Mall in Osu by the staircase to the mall, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And West Hills Mall, the first and second gates, also 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Members of the public who are yet to register for their tins are requested to call at the above locations with a photocopy of the following ID. So your voter's card, your driver's license, bio section of your passport, your national ID card to register. Well, hello there, Ghana. Take a step into the future with ABSA Group, the parent company of Barclays Ghana Limited. At ABSA, the future is as important to us as the present. So we always strive to keep you ahead. That is why ABSA has invested $500 million into technology to make your future possibilities a present reality. We also make sure we collaborate with the right partners to provide you with the state-of-the-art, award-winning banking solutions. Welcome to ABSA Group Limited. ABSA, proudly serving you in Ghana as Barclays. Okay, and I'm diving right back into the conversation. And just before we went on the break, Kwesi was telling us about his pet peeve, which was the fact that girls have to cut their hair. Yes. So Effie was also talking about the fact that it brings a certain sort of uniformity and all of that. I remember going into SSS, one of the main reasons we were giving for having to cut our hair was so that we're not spending too much time focusing on doing our hair and having enough time to focus on the academic, which I never agreed with, because I believe in wholesome education. So if you're going to teach me, the academic stuff, then teach me to take care of myself and put in me that work-life balance from a young age. So I'm definitely not for the cutting of the hair. But and then you're also talking about the fact that no, actually it was Effie, about the fact that it might be a colonization thing, trying to, then there's the weave industry. But even now there's been so many movements with in terms of African women. There was the Netflix movie Napoli Ever After,
which was a book before that.
Which was a book to promote African women being proud of their hair. There's so many
Lydia Forson has a campaign about it. I think it's hashtag Kinky Matters.
Kinky Matters, something like that. Yep. So, there are a lot of women out there who are speaking up because we haven't really been taught to take pride in our African.
Yes. And I think this is an issue that we should keep pushing till the culture, because, I have a daughter, she's 8 years old, and I instructed from the day she was born that no blazer, no blade, no shouldn't even come close. Do you understand? And she has long, beautiful, natural hair. Of course, when she grows, she can decide to perm or whatever. Sometimes if I was here with her, she would hug me like 20 times before. I'm sure when she looks at herself in the mirror, she does that. Wow, because when she goes out, she sees maybe some of her friends. Not every one of them has long hair, and then they'll be touching her hair and things. Of course, I think that our culture really should shift from darkness to light.
That's so interesting.
That's a big statement.
On so many levels.
I think that probably the reason why they ask for cutting the hair is because it's so to prevent some ladies having some over obsession with hairstyles, and that might take them away from some amount of concentration or attention they should have for education. So I think that they could say at a certain stage in your education or when you're growing up, you could have, that freedom to do that.
Well, I think the freedom to do that should be when you are an adult, not as a child, because as a child, every law can be imposed on you. But the thing that she also mentioned was wholesome education, which is very important, because I think apparently with that style and culture, people have grown up and they don't even know how to treat their hair then. They just cover it with wig, and if the wig goes off under it, is crazy.
And just lastly, before we move to Mutaro on his pet peeve, is when you take India, for example, they're one of the nations, apart from the fact that they're poor and all of that, they're very, very focused on education. But they don't cut their girls' hair. They have some of the longest hair in the world.
America has produced scientists.
I think it's also a religious thing in parts of India, though.
Yes.
You can't cut it. But I was telling the guys during the break that it's funny because here we're cutting it, for uniformity. Out there, we're not cutting our hair, but we're permanent immediately. So you have young Ghanaian or other African girls with this dry, brown, stiff, straight hair, because we have this idea that the hair should grow down and long, whereas our hair grows out and curly. And even that, it has its different textures. So I completely agree with the idea that it should be part of the educational system. But that will mean a shift and an understanding of aesthetics and what we find beautiful and attractive.
Which is a completely different conversation.
My last point on
yes,
this.
go ahead.
I wasn't going to bring this here, but I think it fits into some conversation I had some time ago about kids in junior high school or primary schools having uniform shoes, just cross sandals, and something very, very simple and very basic. And it tends to be an economic statement that, they want to ensure that everyone should be able to afford that. If you allow people to come in with any kinds of shoes to school, it would show huge discrepancy in terms of, the kinds of shoes and dressing people come to school with. And that might affect people or those who cannot afford this. And so it has a significant impact in terms of, people's ability to concentrate, to feel confident about themselves while they're in school. So cutting the hairs, giving the uniformity, gives them some uniformity. It doesn't really matter how your hair looks like. Everybody has some, basic haircut.
But there's a future consequence. There's a future consequence to the uniformity people may choose to enjoy now. Do you understand? Which is apparently like there's an African taste and desire for long hair. It's not like it's not in our DNA. Within our DNA is the capacity to have and own long hairs. And so I think the future generation deserve to choose
what
the
they
future.
want.
Yes.
But Mutaro, when we talk about this uniformity, the thing is, in life, there's no uniformity.
Sure.
So are we not setting up our children to fail when we don't teach them from
That's
the beginning
true. To stand alone.
that you are not the
Yes.
like everybody
Yes.
is not the same.
Yes.
You're different.
Yes.
But that is taught, like you said. If I say to my kids, okay, this is your school system. You're going to have short hair for a while, but find what makes you you. Then they rely on things other than the physical. And I think that is more important, so that when you're preparing your child, that's the thing, we don't want to prepare our children either. So, okay, this is how I take care of my hair. These are the kinds of styles you can choose when you get older. Oh, we're on break. This break, choose what style you want to do. We can braid it, we can
my daughter has locks like me at the moment for holidays.
I think it's a periodic thing, and it's about how you prep the child. I don't think that it is a statement that should become a defining part of you. You should be able to express yourself when the time is right.
Right. Okay. Mutaro, let's come to your pet peeve.
Yes. So my pet peeve is walkways, pedestrian walkways, and slums. Slums in our cities, slums in very traditional areas, new areas, estates, and all kinds of settlements we have in our cities. If you look through the city of Accra and many parts of Ghana, pedestrian walkways, it's very, 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 very
They are
deficient.
barely there.
And I believe that if we could have walkways on all our main streets, we can reduce accidents involving pedestrians by 40%. You walk through all the main streets of Accra and you don't have walkways. Pedestrian walkways are taken over by, hawkers and shop owners and all kinds of things. And you find people, having to walk on the main roads, having to negotiate the same way with cars, with all kinds of other road users. You go to new settlements like East Legon, you go to Obojo, you go to Waja, you go to Amrahia, you go to all kinds of new settlements. Settlements you think that these are prime, modern, well-planned residential areas. And within just a couple of years after this place, it's become very, residential. You're seeing emergence of slums. And landscape, the way a city is built, the way it's planned and built, is a feature of a modern society. We're talking about a modern society. There was a time in this country that a whole ministry was set up for the modernization of the capital city of Accra. That tells you, of course, at the time, probably they thought that this was important because we needed to project this city as a modern city.
Right.
Well-planned streets with walkways and all that. Today we've gone back probably far, behind several steps backwards. So I feel very, very uncomfortable on the streets when I walk on the street without walkways. You always have to look several ways, left, right, and try to negotiate your way with other road users. When we could just have very good,
pavements.
And where they are, they're completely covered over by businesses,
So
hawkers and yeah.
So if you observe, for instance, if I take a picture of Accra, somewhere in Accra, with the background, clearly showing, and you take a picture somewhere in Luxembourg, you don't need anyone. You don't need skyscrapers to show, but you can just tell this is not Ghana. You can tell this is some part somewhere in Africa. Because the way the streets are planned, the pedestrian walkways is a key feature of a modern street. We need to have that.
Yes,
we need to ensure that all our streets, all the streets, big and small streets, all of them have walkways. And ensure that they are disability friendly so that people can walk from their homes or can move from their homes to the street, to the market, everywhere else. It doesn't matter your level of ability or disability. So years back, a couple of my friends and I we registered an organization called the Pedestrian Association of Ghana. And this association, we like to say it is the single biggest association in terms of membership, because everyone is a potential member. Whether you drive or you walk, you're a potential pedestrian. And so this is something I think shouldn't just be about conversations amongst people, but this is something that we should elevate to national level, ensure that we have pedestrian walkways on all the streets of Accra, of all the major cities. Every city, every town, every village must have streets well planned and cater for everyone, including vulnerable people.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So this organization, you said it's called the Pedestrian Association. So those who cross the street where there are overhead bridges, like the Medina Denza bridge, those who cross, are they members of this organization?
They are members of this organization.
And they choose not to?
They choose not to. So while I can't defend them, I can't justify that. But all problems must be solved on the basis of common sense. All actions are a function of common sense. If it has to be good in the end.
Yes.
So if you construct an overhead for people to, for pedestrians, and people think that they can use just 3 minutes to cross the road, and this overhead it takes like 15 minutes or 10 minutes.
Right.
You're going to have many people being drawn to finding ways to just cross the road. Elsewhere in Europe, you find underground, passage for people, footpath, and all kinds of, options for people to use.
Which are not 3 or 4 times. Don't take 3 or 4 times longer.
No, it doesn't. While this is a great thing, they've constructed it, but I don't think this is the best we could have. So we have to look at things very critically. In the next couple of years, not even now, it doesn't show as a feature of a modern society. These are things we need to look at. The little details of our society defines, how modern we want this place to
move
be.
Towards modernity.
Exactly.
Like you said, come out of darkness into the light.
Right? And we see it all over the place.
Yes.
See here, at Circle, we don't have options in terms of crossing the road.
I think that's the thing too, though. The options are sometimes there, but it's the whole system. I hate saying this because the whole system that makes it difficult. For example, I know that as a driver, when I reached a zebra crossing, I need to stop because that is a part of the road that is for pedestrians. Mm-hmm. But you'll find drivers, driving and not even slowing down to check, are there people crossing? No, everybody stops on the crossing. Then you have everybody who doesn't want to pay for or cannot afford a store deciding to set up shop where, and this is not just the hawkers, these are those who set up shop on the footpath. So it's everybody, because those things exist. The zebra crossings have been drawn. The footpaths are in some of the older developed areas. We just don't want to make life easy for ourselves.
Because even this in front of Joy FM sometimes there's a zebra crossing.
Yes.
Trying to cross from radio to TV sometimes it's crazy because people won't stop.
No one
And
will
also,
stop.
apart from that, you would see that the zebra crossings, you could see that this is a very high traffic area for pedestrians. But they go put the zebra crossing somewhere else.
Right.
Solutions are a function of common sense. You have to look at what are the chances that people would cross here, and you go put the zebra crossing somewhere else.
You see the walkways on some of the overheads that crosses the street. You see, like the walkway. By the time you go and walk that walkway, so that you see the people trying to jump there.
Yeah, they've been jumping.
Yes.
Especially at
It's too long for them.
The Shashi East Legon where you're going to Shashi. There's the fences there, and you see them jumping over.
I think La Paz also.
Yeah,
it's crazy there.
Yeah. You see, I mean, everybody wants convenience.
Yes.
Whether you drive a car or you walk, everybody wants convenience, and just like ergonomics or aesthetics, things are done to fit the functionality of the human being. So if you go construct something else because you just want to be paid as a contractor, I mean, you're not solving a problem.
No, you're not. You're actually
You're not
creating
solving
another
a problem.
Yeah.
So these are problems. These are really the real big problems we need to look at.
Right.
So if you go to new areas that have been, new residential areas, I'll give you 3 years or 4 years. You begin to see slums coming up. You don't see well-planned streets. People built into places that are originally demarcated for streets, And then
I'd like to know the what's the word, statistics for whether more people walk or drive in Accra. Because I feel like this is a society where people walk a lot.
Yes.
And so you have societies where people ride bikes, so the roads are catered for bike riders. People in car are secondary to that. So if we knew what people were doing in Ghana, I think it would be easy.
Able to tell how to.
How to build things. Yeah. But like you said, common sense is not common. We are not thinking of ourselves. We're looking at pictures of other countries and saying, oh yeah, we should do something like this. But we're not actually going, what do we actually need here
to be at? Well, it's 9:26 if you're just tuning in. This is the Super Morning Show, and I'm opening the phone line so you can actually comment on any of my friends' pet peeves. So if any of them have peeved your pets, well, give us a call, 0302-216-541. But I'm moving straight, whilst we're waiting for your calls, I'm moving straight to Effie for your second pet peeve.
Oh, my second one. Noise control. I was recently at a friend's place, and there was this book her father had from, it was like a compilation of the graphic newspaper that had been like compiled into a book from independence till about 2015. And there was an article in there about an area in Accra, I can't remember where now, where they had to talk about noise control. And there was a special force that had been contacted about this noise control in an area where I think they mentioned a church and something else had been set up, and they were making noise. So people had complained, and they had come in and fix this issue
so obviously
of noise.
This thing didn't start at just
today.
Yes, but I have Linda from Isla. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. I would like to make a few comments.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think I heard the lady, I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name, but I think she lives in Laboni. I live in Isla. That's behind the trade fair, Chadu. We have the same situation with the burning, and I think I'll blame Ladma for it. For instance, in our area, there's a lot of bush, so the burning is more than where she lives. Trust me. And I will call Ladma because we have an association. I'm the chairman. And then I will call our coordinator to go and call them. I will call them personally on the phone. The previous Ladma, there was a gentleman who did a lot. That's Mr. Kwe. And then we tried to stop it. It came down. But then now the one who is in charge, when you call, it's like you are begging. It's just next to them. It's not far. So I will blame Ladma for this. Where she lives is under Ladma as well. So imagine them being just next to us and they are burning and they don't do anything about it. I have pictures. I record them. I video them. My children call me when they see. I'm like a vigilante for, sorry to use that word, but
it's all right.
My children think I can do everything. When they see a burning, they have to take a picture, send it to mommy. Mommy, they are burning here. And then I will call. Oh, madam, we are not in the office. Let me see if I can get somebody. Nobody will do anything. Then we'll ask the coordinator to go around and ask them to stop it. And then the coordinator would tell me that, madam, you are being targeted. Because I've asked them to quench the fire. So in our area, when somebody is burning, we try to go there and turn it off. But has LADMA as institution to do this? They are not doing their job. So I think I'll blame LADMA for that.
Okay, well, the text number is 0244340437. Send me those pictures, and then we will put them out on some of our social media pages and try and get LADMA to actually do something about the situation. I have Gabriel from La. Gabriel, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hello. So I'm Gabriel. I'm a from La.
Gabriel, can you speak up for me, please?
Hello, I'm Gabriel Masa from La Pamwan Junction.
Okay, sure. Go.
Yeah, some of us in this neighborhood are having the same problem about the people burning papers and stuff in the neighborhood. The other one to add to it is churches around are blocking ways, places that people pass to their houses. Example, there is a church, a Pentecostal church around that. A place where cars can even pass, they've even blocked it, claiming it is their land. And it's becoming an issue for people in this neighborhood.
Where do you live, Gabriel?
Pamwan Junction, please.
Okay.
Pamwan Junction. And the other thing too is, some time ago, LADMA started constructing the pathways for people to walk. But right now, they stopped. And it's becoming a problem in this neighborhood. At night, the street lights don't work. From the Pamwan Junction, the Golf Filling Station, passed up all the way to La Wireless, all the way to Kojo Sardine. Street lights don't work.
Right, and you're in LADMA as well?
Yes, please.
Okay.
We are all in the same LADMA.
Right. Okay. All right. We'll see how we can help you with that. My last caller is Omusumuru. He's calling from Domabing. Good morning. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good morning. God bless you for such a wonderful work you're doing for Ghana. But I would take the noise. You see, in Ghana here, I don't know whether it's because of the unemployment or something. Someone can just stand up and say, I'm preaching here, I'm doing this. I'm not against preaching anyway. But sometimes you get to a place, even when you get a call, you can't pick. But there was a time we had all night. There's a fellowship group that we always fellowship in the morning and then in the evening. And one day we had all night. These people, AMA people, came that they had a gadget that they used to measure noise.
Yes.
And that they've arrested us. Can you imagine that these people collected money and we continued the all night? We didn't stop. So sometimes I blame those people too. They go there, instead of them to stop the people or something, they would rather take something and then leave the people to continue what they are doing. Meanwhile, what they are doing too is bad.
Wait. So you people, you and the people that you were doing the all night, you paid bribe to the AMA who had come and tell you not to shout so that you could continue to shout.
No, it's not like we could continue to shout. But you see, in actual fact, we didn't continue with that noise, but we mellowed it.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes. It came down. But my problem is where they took something. You see, but in other places, they will take something. When they ask us to stop or mellow it, we brought the noise down. But in other places, they will keep doing because you have taken something, and you can't come back to stop them.
That's true.
So in Ghana, that is our problem. We will see people doing the wrong thing. We will go and take something, or because they are our friends, our relatives, we will leave them to continue to do the bad thing. That is our problem in Ghana. Therefore, we have to know how to control all these things. God bless you.
God bless you too. Good one there. So I'm coming to my friends in studio for your final comments. If you can just wrap up for me in, let's say, about a minute, I'd be most grateful. Should I do ladies first or gentlemen first this time? Okay, Mutaru, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much. This is a great program, and I've been listening to it, and it's a great opportunity to be here today, to share my views on these things. I think this thing we need to take very, very important. Important to the extent that it defines who we are. When people come here and leave, the little things that we often do not consider to be important are the things they go away with. Yeah. Like yesterday, a colleague of mine who just finished working, doing his research with us, went back to the States, and he sent me a WhatsApp message. And it was that he was unduly harassed by immigration officials because they asked him whether he had CDs on him, and he said yes. And they demanded, he said no, he wants it. I mean, it's something as simple as that. Who does that? So he goes away, exit point, and this is what he goes away with. It was serious to the extent that he had to say that to me. So these are very important things. And they say that, the success of a nation or a republic, it depends on the character of the average citizen. So we're all doing this space matter a lot in terms of how things define us.
Right.
And we need to take that serious.
Okay, thank you for that, Chrissy.
Yes. Okay, so I also just hope like the powers that be that have put in place laws and such ideas in the schools should really start thinking about the future, not the past. Let's start looking at the future generations, how it's going to look and how it has been. I think we have had enough tests to see that apparently we like long hair too, and let's start also inculcating it into our culture,
right?
Like you mentioned, so that the teaching is not just maths, and we've seen what that also does, know. And so let's train holistically, so that our girls grow with their hair, and when they grow and they say, oh, okay, I want to cut it off, I like short hair, they do that,
right.
And but let's not put them in a situation where their beauty is being now having to be defined by the best wigs and all these type of ideas that's going on there.
Right. So I wasn't going to let you go without asking you to do one line of one song.
I am next in line for a breakthrough. Next in line. Next in line. I am next in line for a miracle. Next in line. Bum, 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 bum. Every knee will bow. Every tongue confess, get the anthems album. You know what I'm saying?
Get the anthems album. That's the voice of Kwesi Oting, who has a bit of a cough. So do forgive him. Effie, final words.
Proverbs 27, verse 14.
Glory.
Shall we hear the word of the Lord?
Yes.
A loud and cheerful greeting early in the morning will be taken as a curse. This is biblical, and I really think that our dawn broadcasters and home church and fellowship people should really take it seriously. We are all serving God with our talents and gifts. When we walk into our offices, we are serving God. Ministry is not limited to church rooms and Sunday mornings and Friday nights all night. It is every day lived. So please, when you are in an area where that is residential, ask yourself, what service do these people do to God? What service have they done today? Are they tired? Do they need rest? Coming in and preaching at 3, 4, 5 a.m. before the sun itself is glorifying the Lord is not godly. It is a curse to those who are resting, and rest is from the Lord.
Hallelujah. Amen. Oh, thank you very much for that. I've had Efficacy and Mutaru in the studio with me. Thank you guys so much for sharing your Friday. Your Tuesday.
It's a day.
Thank you for sharing today.
Thank you so much
with me. I'm going to take a few messages. When we come back, we'll be speaking to the Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship. They have a very, very, very interesting convention.